Before you buy another pair of earrings, look at the ones you reach for most often, because there is a styling mistake many women make without ever realizing it. A beautiful earring can still work against you when its scale is too heavy, its length ends at the wrong place, or its shine competes with everything happening around your face. And when that happens, we often blame the mirror. We think our jaw looks softer, our skin looks different, or our silver hair has somehow become harder to style. But your face is not the problem. Very often, it is simply a proportion problem. Today, I'll show you 6 earring styles, from number 6 all the way to my number 1 choice, and more importantly, I'll explain why they work. Stay with me, because after the countdown, I'll also give you 3 simple questions you can use before buying another pair, plus 3 quiet earring mistakes that can undermine an otherwise beautiful outfit. So with that idea in mind, let's begin the countdown. Number 6 is probably the easiest style to introduce into almost any wardrobe, but there is one detail that separates a flattering hoop from one that simply disappears or completely takes over. At number 6, we have the small sculptural hoop, and this is one of the easiest earrings to wear well because it gives the face definition without demanding too much attention. But here is where many women get the scale wrong. A hoop that is extremely tiny can disappear completely beside a fuller bob or shoulder-length hair, while an oversized thin hoop can create a large, empty circle beside the cheek and suddenly become more noticeable than your face. The sweet spot is often somewhere in between, enough presence to be intentional, but not so much that the jewelry becomes the entire outfit. And shape matters just as much as size. Instead of a perfectly round hoop, look at softly oval, twisted, gently irregular, or slightly sculptural designs. Those subtle variations catch light differently and give a simple outfit more dimension. Think of the difference between drawing a perfect circle beside your face and adding a small curved brushstroke. One feels more graphic, the other often feels softer and more sophisticated. Finish changes the effect again. Highly polished gold behaves almost like a tiny mirror and creates strong highlights near the skin, while brushed gold or satin silver gives you quieter light. If you have beautiful silver or white hair, warm gold can create deliberate contrast, while silver or white metal can produce a refined tonal harmony. Neither choice is about age, it is about how much contrast you want. Also pay attention to your hairstyle. With a pixie or short bob, almost the entire earring is visible, so scale matters more. With longer hair, the hoop may appear and disappear as you move, which means you can often use slightly more substance without overwhelming the face. And finally, test the weight. An earring can look perfectly proportioned in the mirror and still be the wrong choice if you want to remove it after 20 minutes. A useful everyday hoop should almost disappear in the way it feels, while remaining just visible enough to make the outfit look finished. But if hoops are the easiest place to start, number 5 is where things become more interesting, because it is a jewelry classic that can look incredibly refined or unexpectedly dated, depending almost entirely on how you style it. And yes, I'm talking about pearls. At number 5, we have pearls, but not necessarily the perfectly matched pearl studs worn with a matching pearl necklace and a very formal blouse. There is absolutely nothing wrong with a classic pearl, but when every element around it feels equally traditional, the styling can begin to look like a costume from another decade rather than a deliberate choice today. The easiest way to modernize pearls is through contrast. Take something familiar and place it beside something cleaner, simpler, or slightly unexpected. A luminous pearl drop with a crisp open collar, an irregular Baroque pearl with a minimalist knit, or a small pearl suspended from a simple brushed metal setting can immediately feel more contemporary. Luster is one reason pearls work so beautifully near mature skin. Unlike a highly faceted crystal that throws sharp points of light, a pearl produces a softer glow. That gentle reflection can add light beside the face without demanding that the skin itself look perfectly smooth. Scale still matters. Very tiny pearls can disappear beneath thicker hair, while extremely large round pearls can become visually formal very quickly. A medium pearl or an elongated irregular shape often gives you more versatility. Hair color also changes the effect. Creamy pearls beside silver hair create a soft tonal transition, while warmer champagne pearls can bring subtle warmth beside white or cool gray strands. And if you wear pearls often, resist the urge to make every other accessory match them exactly. Pearl earrings, pearl necklace, pearl bracelet, decorative buttons, and a formal blouse can all be beautiful individually, but together they may tell the same story 5 times. Let the earrings be the traditional element and allow the rest of the outfit to breathe. That contrast is what takes pearls from simply classic to intentionally modern. Pearls teach us that an accessory does not become dated simply because it is classic. It becomes dated when the entire styling around it stops creating contrast. But number 4 introduces a completely different idea. Instead of softness and luster, it uses clean lines and angles to bring subtle structure beside the face. And this is where understanding geometry can completely change the way you choose earrings. At number 4, we have delicate geometric earrings, and this is where jewelry starts behaving almost like architecture beside the face. A circle repeats softness. An oval stretches that curve vertically. A slim rectangle creates a cleaner downward line, while an angular shape introduces definition. The mistake is assuming that one face shape has one mandatory earring shape. Real faces are far more complex than that, especially because your hairstyle, glasses, neckline, and even the angle of your jaw are all part of the picture. Instead, ask yourself whether you want to repeat a line that already exists or create contrast with it. If your hairstyle is very soft and rounded, a small angular earring can introduce just enough structure to keep the overall look from feeling overly soft. If your glasses already have strong rectangular frames, however, another large geometric shape beside them may create too many competing angles. In that case, a smaller oval or softly curved geometric earring can restore balance. Length matters here too. A narrow vertical design creates a directional line downward, but it does not literally lift or reshape the face. What it can do is change where the eye travels. That is an important distinction. We are using visual direction, not trying to disguise your natural features. Keep the scale refined enough that the geometry can be noticed without becoming a costume piece. You can also use negative space beautifully. An open oval, incomplete circle, or fine metal shape often feels lighter than a solid piece of exactly the same dimensions because less visual mass sits beside the face. And if your outfit already contains strong lines, perhaps a sharp collar, architectural neckline, or bold glasses, you do not need to repeat every one of them in your jewelry. One structured element is often enough. The goal is visual conversation, not perfect matching. When the shape of an earring gives the eye somewhere interesting to travel and then returns attention to your face, the geometry is doing its job. Geometry changes where the eye travels, but number 3 can change what the eye notices first, even before it registers the shape of the earring. This is where color becomes powerful, and one small color placed beside the face can sometimes do more for an outfit than adding another necklace, scarf, or pattern. At number 3, we have colored stone earrings, and their real strength is not that certain colors magically make mature skin look younger. It is that color placed close to the face can create contrast, repeat something in your eyes or clothing, and give a neutral outfit an intentional focal point. Think about a woman wearing a simple navy blouse with silver hair. Add a small teal, garnet, lapis, or smoky green stone beside the face, and suddenly there is a visual destination. The eye notices the color, then returns to the face. The easiest way to choose one is not to memorize complicated rules about skin tone. Begin with colors you already know you enjoy wearing near your face. If deep teal makes you feel wonderful as a blouse or scarf, there is a good chance you may also enjoy it in an earring, only at a much smaller scale. Saturation matters as much as hue. A vivid jewel tone creates stronger contrast, while a smoky, muted stone produces a quieter effect. And this becomes particularly interesting with silver hair because gray and white hair often create a beautiful neutral background for color. A deep blue stone can look crisp beside silver. Garnet or warm amber can introduce warmth. Soft green can create a quieter, earthy relationship. None is universally flattering. What matters is the relationship between the stone, your hair, your clothing, and the amount of contrast you enjoy. Be careful with matching too literally. If you are wearing a green blouse, green necklace, green earrings, green glasses, and a green scarf, the color stops being an accent and becomes a uniform. Instead, repeat a color once or twice and then stop. Also consider the setting around the stone. A large stone surrounded by bright crystals carries far more visual weight than the same color in a simple brushed metal setting. For everyday wear, one clean stone with a refined setting is often enough. Color should bring the eye toward you, not make the jewelry enter the room several seconds before you do. So far, we have used scale, luster, geometry, and color. But the final two styles introduce something even more powerful: movement. Number 2 creates a line that changes every time you turn your head, and when its length is chosen carefully, it can bring elegance to even the simplest neckline. But there is one stopping point I want you to check before buying it. At number 2, we have elegant drop earrings, and the detail I asked you to check is the stopping point. Before you look at the stone, the metal, or even the price, put the earring on and notice exactly where the lowest point sits beside your face and neck. A drop earring creates a vertical line, but that line does not exist in isolation. It interacts with your jaw, your hair, your neckline, and the amount of open space between your ear and shoulder. A very short drop can feel almost like a stud with movement, while a longer slender design creates a more noticeable downward direction. Neither one literally lifts or lengthens your face, but they guide the eye differently, and that visual direction can completely change the balance of an outfit. For many everyday looks, a refined drop that finishes around the jaw or slightly below it gives you movement without requiring the earring to reach all the way toward the shoulder. But do not treat that as a universal rule. If you have a short neck, a high neckline, or hair that already occupies a lot of space around the jaw and shoulders, an extremely long earring may create visual congestion. If your neckline is more open and your hair is shorter or tucked back, you may have more room for length. Movement matters too. A rigid piece hangs like a fixed line, while a softly articulated drop responds when you turn your head, creating tiny flashes of light. That movement is one reason drop earrings can make a very simple blouse feel more finished. Just be careful with too many moving elements. Several chains, crystals, beads, and charms can turn one elegant vertical line into visual noise. I prefer a cleaner construction: one slender metal form, one pearl, one stone, or perhaps two restrained articulated sections, and always perform the shoulder test. Turn your head, tilt it slightly, and make sure the earring does not repeatedly strike your neck, collar, or shoulder. Jewelry should move with you, not punish you for moving. When the length, stopping point, and movement are working together, a drop earring can bring a beautiful sense of rhythm beside the face without ever needing to shout. And now we arrive at number 1. You may expect me to tell you that women over 60 should keep their earrings small and discreet. I'm going to tell you almost the opposite. Some of the most sophisticated earrings you can wear have real presence. The secret is understanding the difference between physical size and visual weight. At number 1, we have the refined statement earring, because getting older does not mean your jewelry needs to become smaller, quieter, and less interesting every year. A statement earring can look extraordinarily sophisticated after 60 when you understand visual weight. Physical size tells us how many centimeters an earring occupies. Visual weight describes how heavy it feels to the eye. Imagine two earrings of exactly the same dimensions. The first is a solid polished metal disc covered in crystals. The second is a thin open sculptural form with negative space through the center. They may be equally large, but they do not have equal visual weight. That distinction gives you enormous freedom. If you love larger earrings, look for open shapes, organic curves, matte or brushed finishes, restrained stones, and designs that allow some air between the jewelry and your face. Then simplify something else. If the earrings are making the statement, you may not need a large necklace competing underneath them. An open neckline can give the jewelry room to breathe, while a clean solid-colored blouse allows an unusual shape to look intentional rather than busy. Hair matters too. With short silver hair, a statement earring becomes highly visible, so every curve and finish counts. With fuller shoulder-length hair, choose enough presence that the design does not become tangled visually inside the hairstyle. Glasses require another decision. Bold glasses and bold earrings can absolutely work together, but one should usually have slightly more authority. Think of an orchestra. If every instrument is playing the solo at the same time, there is no solo. The same principle applies to jewelry, glasses, pattern, neckline, lipstick, and hair. Decide what you want the eye to notice first. And please do not confuse statement with heavy. Some of the most dramatic earrings are surprisingly lightweight because their impact comes from outline rather than mass. Before buying, wear them for several minutes, turn your head, smile, talk, and notice whether you forget about them. That is the test I care about. The best statement earring does not make you look as though you are trying to be 25. It does something far more interesting. It shows that you understand your own style well enough to choose one beautiful focal point and let it speak with confidence. So those are our 6, but please do not turn this countdown into 6 new rules you have to follow. The real value is underneath the list. Hoops taught us scale. Pearls taught us contrast between classic and modern. Geometric earrings taught us direction and negative space. Colored stones showed us how to control color near the face. Drop earrings taught us to watch length and movement. And statement earrings brought everything together through visual weight and hierarchy. Once you understand those ideas, you can evaluate earrings you already own instead of feeling that you need to replace your entire jewelry box. But before you open your jewelry box and start sorting everything into keep and giveaway piles, wait. There are 3 questions I want you to ask first. They take less than a minute, they work with almost every earring style we have discussed, and the third question is the one most women forget until they have already worn the earrings for an hour. Before you buy another pair of earrings, ask yourself 3 questions. First, what else is already competing for attention near my face? Look at your glasses, hairstyle, neckline, pattern, lipstick, necklace, and then the earrings. If 3 or 4 of those elements are trying to become the focal point, you probably do not need to change your face or your outfit. You simply need to establish a hierarchy. Choose one element to lead and let the others support it. Second, where does the earring end and what happens around that point? Do not judge an earring only while holding it in your hand. Put it on. A drop ending near the jaw behaves differently from one reaching toward the shoulder. A wide hoop beside a full bob occupies different visual space from the same hoop beside a pixie. Turn your head and look from the front and 3/4 angle, because jewelry lives in 3 dimensions. And third, can I comfortably forget that I am wearing it? This is the question many women ask too late. Leave the earrings on for several minutes. Talk, smile, turn your head, put on your glasses, tuck your hair behind your ear, and move normally. If you immediately notice pulling, swinging against your neck, catching in your hair, or touching your collar, that discomfort will eventually affect the way you carry yourself. Elegant jewelry should not require you to sit perfectly still. If an earring passes these 3 tests, visual hierarchy, proportion in context, and real comfort, you are already making a more informed decision than simply asking whether the earrings looked beautiful in the display case. There is one idea I hope you take away from this video, and it has very little to do with earrings. Style after 60 should not become an exercise in slowly removing everything interesting about yourself. Smaller earrings, quieter colors, safer hair, less makeup, less attention, less presence. You do not owe the world a quieter version of yourself simply because another birthday has passed. What changes is not your right to be noticed. What changes is your understanding of what deserves attention. That is where refinement comes from. Perhaps 20 years ago you wore 5 interesting things at once. Today, you may choose one extraordinary pair of earrings, beautiful silver hair, a clean neckline, and nothing else competing for the spotlight. That is not disappearing. That is editing. And good editing is one of the foundations of elegant style. So keep the pearls you love. Wear the color that makes you smile. Try the sculptural earring that feels a little more interesting than your usual pair. Your goal is not to recreate the woman you were at 35. It is to dress the woman you are now with the same curiosity, care, and confidence she has always deserved. Now I want to know which one you would actually wear. Number 6, sculptural hoops. 5, modern pearls. 4, geometric earrings. 3, colored stones. 2, elegant drops. Or number 1, the refined statement earring. Put your number in the comments, and if you already own a pair you absolutely love, tell us what makes them work for you. Your answer may give another woman here an idea she has never considered. And if thoughtful, realistic style advice for women over 60 is what you have been looking for, subscribe to Mature Women's Style. We are building a wardrobe and beauty conversation around elegance, not rules. Take care of yourself, enjoy your style, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye for now.